so definitely, if you have any questions, definitely there's things that I can work on. But if it's an opportunity, if you had specific questions, whether it be technical, whether it be conceptual, philosophical, um,
Hmm.
we can do that. We can adapt the class theme to whatever you guys would like. Anything
Yeah,
in mind right now?
yeah. Well, just because I've really liked, the warm up we've done about the pushing down, whether it's horizontal or front leg, back leg. Um, what I continue to be curious about, as I try different ways to be with that is, um, if it seems like at the hips, at the pelvis, is a significant place for that impulse. So as the press down, for it to kind of go, not awry, but like to leave a track. There's a nice pure line sometimes from the foot up the leg, and then I always feel like it gets lost in the junction just a little bit.
Mm.
And that place is in the lower back or the hips.
Well, I mean, like I definitely, have old injury on the right side, so it's sort of the right side of the sacrum. But as I've played, because we've worked over the last few months with a lot of like, the images of like letting your hip cage swing and to kind of different ways to incent this to be freer and then freer to join whatever alignment is happening. Sometimes it feels great, and then it just feels like the signal gets lost.
Mm-hmm. Mm,
So
absolutely.
I don't know if that's a mechanical, well, it's probably all the things, but
It is all of the things exactly, but let's start with mechanical. So this is really, really good because this will apply to everybody, right?
Yeah, it applies for me for sure. So good question.
Yeah. And we all have different tensions and blockages in different areas, but this is a major one for everybody for sure. Excellent. So let's kind of gear our warm up a little bit more to that area, so working the mechanical first, getting that body area to open up physically, warming it up, releasing it, and physically opening it up. And then also talking about alignments and adjusting, aligning the body so that we can open up that avenue. So yeah, this is really good. Okay, so conscious of the feet directly under the hips. We hang from the top down. So that's that famous saying in Tai Chi, right? The head is suspended from above. So from here, we drop down or hang down. So we hang from the top down. Of course, that informs the structure that we really want. All those things we talk about, lower back flat or hips dropped, knees unlocked, shoulders sitting, all those things are created organically if we're hanging from the top down. Releasing the abdomen. Going a little further with that, working from the bottom up. So first, hang out, enter the ground with your weight, let everything hang from the top down. And then let your structure become vertical and open from the bottom up. Generally, we work down first. Sinking chi is primary concept and tactic. So we hang out, let everything drop, sink. And then from the ground up, allow your skeleton to be informed. Very vertical, very upright. If we go a little step further, we touched upon this just the other day, the yin-yang differential. The tissues are always hanging. The tissues are always dripping off the bones. And so tissues are always sinking. The skeleton, the bones themselves, are always very bright and upright, sharp and vertical. So that's yang. The tissues are yin. So get that both going at the same time. Releasing the abdomen. Okay, let's do a little warm up. Inside your body, roll your awareness and your intention inside your upper torso to get your shoulders to move in alternating circles. So get that moving inside your body for your physical body to move, rather than moving your shoulders and then being mindful of moving your shoulders. Be mindful and then intentful, intentionally moving your mind inside upper torso, and that will eventually drive your shoulders into movement. And just notice what that does for your spine. Breathe out, release. And then move your mind inside your body the other way and let that inform and drive the physical movement. Then accentuating the hanging outness, so you slowly drift back to vertical stillness. Tailbone hanging, weight through the feet. Hip circles, but we're going to be very specific about it. Send your hip out to the side. Send it to the front corner, to the direct front, to the other front corner, directly to the side, to the back corner, directly back, to the other back corner, to the side, to the front corner, to the front. Let's go the other way. So we're being very angular about it to start with. So pushing front with your core, to the front corner, to the side, to the back corner, directly to the back, other back corner, front corner, forward. So you can do that smoothly now, but not missing any of those points. So very, very big circle. So our feet are no more than hip width apart, so not quite shoulder width. Hip width or a little bit less. Make sure the knees are a tiny bit bent. And making basically as big a circle with the hips as you can. And now breathing in is one rotation. Breathing out is another rotation. So you breathe in on one full rotation, breathe out for the other full rotation. At your own breathing pace. Okay, now let's do some the other way. So breathing in for one full rotation, breathing out for a full rotation. Knees are a little bit bent and keep the lower back fairly straight. All that means is we don't want the lower back to be tight and pointing back with the sacrum. We want it to be basically hanging. Get away from the tightness in the lower back. It crimps everything, collapses the lower vertebrae. Okay, now just to get a little bit more specific and use the mind and breath more. As we do the hip circle, and you breathe in, imagine the ball of air that you breathed in, and that's moving around your body to increase the stretch in that part of the body that we're bending towards. So I breathe in, this ball of air goes forward, the ball of air rolls to the front corner, rolls to the side, rolls to the back corner, rolls directly to the back. That ball of air rolls to the back corner, rolls to the side, the front corner, the front. And then we, even when we breathe out, we imagine and feel that ball of air rolling around the torso. And so it increases the stretch. So as you're going to the back corner, it's especially with that ball of air that's stimulating the kidney and the lower back than the other kidney. Just directing that little bit of pressure, that ball of pressure, to that part of the body as you are rotating. And you'll feel that you can have that ball of pressure, a ball of air stretching through your body. And then the other way. And back to center. Then, because part of the issue can be not only lower back, but hips and specifically the ball joint. Let's warm up the ball joint here. So standing on one leg, on the heel of the foot, and just rotating that foot. So there's no weight on that leg. Exploring the range of motion. And then the other side, over heel. So the whole leg moves as one unit. And your awareness is in ball socket here, deep in the hip. Be conscious of not just turning your body, but you're turning it to release, 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 release. Releasing, opening and releasing, kind of massaging from the inside out, massaging tissues of the body with the bones themselves. So you're massaging and releasing the tissues from the inside with the movement of the bones. And then back to the other leg, but this time on the ball of the foot. And so you're rotating the knee in and out. Again, with the intent, the idea of to release and open that hip joint. And then the other leg. So everything we do is about releasing and opening, not just articulating just for exercise, but with the intent of releasing, letting go, opening, song the hip. Okay, now back to the other leg again, very similar, but slightly different. We're going to be on the ball of the foot and rotate the knee in as big a circle as you can. So sometimes my heel as I come back, my heel will actually touch the ground, and you make as big a circle with the knee as possible. The rest of the body is also as loose as you can manage. So you don't be tight and hold yourself here. This movement here, this big circle with the knee, let that kind of wave through your body a little bit. Just as long as you're not standing on a straight knee, let all your joints be open and loose, and it becomes a gentle vibration through the entire body, gentle massage through the entire body, gently coaxing and encouraging all the other joints to kind of release and open as well. And let's go to the other side. So let's let that kind of wave through your body a little bit. Release the abdomen. And other side. And let's rotate the other way. Other side. Okay. Now, this is a big part of releasing this whole area here, but this is much more subtle. And that is neutralizing the Kwa, or emptying the Kwa. So we can start kind of big and macro, and even contrasting up a little bit. So there's a bit of curve in the back, up a little bit. And then it's like you're sitting onto a bar stool. So of course that will lengthen the lower back and drop the tailbone. But what we want to focus on specifically is it empties the Kwa. Take all the tension of standing out of the Kwa. Come back up, you feel the tension in the lower back and in the front of the hip, and then empty the Kwa. Just see if you can find that contrast. Identify quality of letting the Kwa go, letting it empty, dissolving the Kwa, letting it totally empty. That means all the work has to be in the thighs and legs, none of it here, and none of it here. So emptying the Kwa.
Oh. So you're contrasting the tightening that when you stand up, and then pouring that out into the structure of the legs.
Yeah, and that's probably more obvious back here and less obvious in front. So if that is the case, then take that experience here and then translate that here. So when we're standing up, this is more obvious. We have tension here. But we actually have tension here as well, standing up, keeping this apart. So I want to empty it, make it completely soft and empty. And I think that takes longer for people to have a sense of that. I think it's much harder to have a sense of that than here. So this empties. So let's talk about yin yang differential, and that actually might even help get this. If this empties, this fills. The Yao fills, and the Kwa empties. So working both actually might help get that more subtle part. Let's approach it by feeling the Yao. So it's been a little while, but we've definitely done lots of this. So, and physically, you can do this even muscularly to get the shape and get the action. Then again, eventually, it's just with your intention and your feeling, and you allow it to happen. But to start with, physically, you round this out. You push the lower back out and slightly down. So not just so straight back, but also slightly down. So basically a 45-degree angle, but to get that, you have to really emphasize back first and then a little bit down. And then let's contrast. So we come back up and then push the lower back straight back and slightly down. And come back straight back behind and slightly down. And when you do that over and over, now notice what happens to the Kwa. Now try not to tense your stomach muscles. So don't do it by doing a pelvic tilt and tensing your muscles. You're doing it by filling this area. Filling this area, not by contracting the front. Fill this area, and that empties this area. So you fill this to empty this. So we've talked about filling this before, but now filling this empties this. This drains empty, this fills. And then just kind of hang out there, stay there for a while. Through your normal breathing, let this stay relatively full, not 100%, that's going to be too hard to keep, maybe 70, 80% full. And this is as empty as you can allow it. So this is full, this is yang, this is active. This is yin, empty. This is active. This is yin, empty. And with each out breath, see if you can release more tension. Okay. Now, let's go into shifting weight forward and back. Always hanging from the string. Keep this area here relatively full. Feel like it's rounded. Physically, technically, it won't be. It might be approaching straight. It definitely won't be bubbling out, but it'll feel like it is because everybody's in here. So that quality and feeling that it's bubbled out and Kwa is empty. And then now bring in the pulsing of the feet. Press down one leg to send the body, press down the other leg to send the body the other way. Keeping this flat or bubbled out, and this empty. We won't even bring the arms into it, at least not right away, because that will tend to tighten things up. Even if they're swinging fairly nice, we'll tend to tighten things up. So we can kind of really focus our mind and body in this area here. Breathe out, release tension. So this becomes an open juncture eventually by filling this, emptying this. Now that takes, again, good strength in the leg, right? So, feel free to switch legs when you need to. So you're not being too distracted by the weariness or tiredness in that leg. So right away, we want to hang the hips, fill the lower back, empty the hip, waist, the quad. This has the same effect, same result as hanging the hips totally. The hips become level, and you're hanging the hips. It's the same thing, but this is getting more detailed.
Yeah. Because one of the things I'm noticing that's different from how normally when I shift weight, there's even though there's differential movement, right? As you come forward, like there's a little different thing happening on the left quad than on the right. It feels more even. It feels like there's something about that emptiness quality to the extent that I can get there, that it just makes it smoother.
So that is good. So stay with that feeling, and that will develop and evolve. Another approach. Let's see if this is a helpful trigger. Another thing that I often do and feel is that it's like I feel the energy running down. That of course will help to lengthen and straighten the lower back. But if I feel like I'm draining everything down here, I'm draining the weight and energy down, that just again lengthens, straightens all this, and makes this area neutral, the whole area neutral, rather than being tight and up here and tight in there. I hang everything and just a little bit more than hanging, drain. I'm draining everything. So water draining down. Water draining down through your hips and through your back leg, whether you're going back or whether you're going forward. So we're back to sinking is primary, sinking chi, sinking energy. The downward movement is primary, touching upon that again. So you have a sense that it's always draining, hips are always hanging, or it's always draining down. That gets my shape nice and straight and lets everything hang. And then this can open. When we're not hanging, it means we're up and in, things are open. So you can try that imagery and that idea. To go a little further then, if you pulse a little bit more dynamically, again, and maybe even getting the arms moving if you want. But again, the problem can be whenever we do something more physical, whether it be the arms or pulsing more strongly, we might tighten up, right? So eventually this will be easy and natural. Pulsing down, a much more physical, strong pulse down opens you up. So again, the normal thing is, this relates to earlier on. So Cheryl will remember this because it was a previous class for Aikido. If I push down into the trampoline, for most people, that'll tighten everything up. Push off. Or even if pushing off just the regular ground, there's a tightening. So again, internal martial arts, internal arts, totally different than normal, usually 180 degrees opposite. Pressing down, this is through intentional vectors and developing your internal awareness. Pressing down, I have that open me up. It opens up the joints, lengthens the fascia, it opens me up. So if I can drop down, hang down, pour down, hang down here, and I press into the ground, pressing into the ground, I just intend that to open me up more. Opens everything. I don't mean pop me up, I mean open the joints, the leg joints, hip joints. So pressing down, see if you can, and just isolate that. So maybe just a little bit, just here, just a couple inches, forward and back. Pulsing down, have that rather than tighten things up and lurch you forward, don't move very much and have that pulsing down reverberate up through your body to open up your body. Now, the normal thing is doing that hikes this up, it tightens this up. So it's literally intending the opposite direction, the opposite effect. Normal person, when they press down, all this contracts, tightens up. Exact opposite. Pressing down opens things. Pressing down, and that resulting reverberation, bounce up. Moves through your tissues like an echo, like a sonic wave, moves through the tissues and the joints to open it up. Let me know how that goes for you.
Yeah, well, like I think there's lots of work has to happen for me anyway, but yeah, all that work with the kind of the relationship of opening, emptying the qua with that pulsing, it doesn't seem to, particularly on my right side, like it traps somewhere in the hip, like that's staying open, so it's possible for that to have some kind of trajectory through. But it's not very refined. That's what I've noticed.
This is actually a big part of kind of the next step or what's coming up for the more advanced people. So we might as well stay with this for another minute or two, because this is sneak preview, foreshadowing of some consistent important work. So, and let me be a little bit more specific or articulate about the methodology with this here. I said kind of just moving a couple inches forward and back. Let me put it in a slightly different way. Imagine you're in a bracket, a body bracket, you can't move. That you've willingly allowed yourself, not being forced upon you, willingly allowed yourself to, because it's a training tool, it's a training machine. You're in a bracket. You can't move your body. Can't move your body. Can't move. You're bracketed. Pulse into the ground. And normally that would shift your weight forward, but you can't move. So that energy and force, try to allow that to move through your body. Right now, mainly your lower body, your leg and hip, letting your body become transparent. This is developing a transparent body, emptiness of the body. And at first, again, fake it till you make it. At first, you'll probably just notice, as you're mentioning now, you're just aware of your tinging. Your ting is telling you about all the blockages, all the resistance, all the things that it's banging into, so it's not going anywhere. That's perfect. That's awareness. Eventually, through more releasing and opening, that force will move more and more through your body. The body will become more transparent, more open and soft, rather than concretized. So you're in a bracket. Release down, press down. Press your foot into the ground, press the foot in the ground, press the foot in the ground. You'll probably feel like physically it wants to lurch your body forward, of course, but you can't move. But still let that energy and force move through your body. So it's consciously releasing the hip and lower back, If you get the right shape, filling the Yao is really important, emptying Kwa, get the right shape for sure. Don't want to do this up here. Get the right shape. Once you have the right shape, just keep pulsing into the ground, press the foot into the ground, but you can't move. So you allow that echo, that bounce, to travel as far as freely as you can right now. So that won't be a satisfying thing to do because what you notice right away is all the places, how far it can go. You're very conscious of maybe it can't go very far and it's not getting through. But it's a continuous